Welcome to Commerce with Karanta Lane, your complete academy for business, accounting, and economics.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking textbook economics and, transforming it into a dynamic, practical entrepreneur's journey. If you've ever wondered what actually goes on behind the scenes of a successful business, from the very first dollar spent all the way to the complexities of massive growth, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to visualize the actual DNA of business survival. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. First up, the cost of doing business, then visualizing your business costs. From there, we'll hit generating business revenue, followed by profit, loss, and break even. And finally, the reality of scaling. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the cost of doing business. Basically, what you owe before you even open your doors. So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the stark difference between the two main types of costs every single business faces. On one hand, you've got fixed costs. These are the expenses that literally do not change no matter how much you produce. Think about your building rent or management salaries. Whether you make 0 items or say 5,000 items, your landlord still expects that rent check on the first of the month, even if you just slept in the empty office all day. On the flip side, we have variable costs. Now, these vary directly with your output. We're talking raw materials or wages for the workers actually making your product. You only pay these costs when you are actively producing things. Let's actually see how this builds into total and average costs mathematically, using a really practical example of a $60 variable cost per unit. So look at that top row. When output is 0, our total fixed cost is $200. Since we haven't made anything, the total variable cost is 0. But notice your total cost is still $200. You still owe that money. Now, as we drop down and start producing 1, 2, 3, and 4 units, that $200 fixed cost never wavers. But your variable cost jumps by $60 every single time. But here's what's really fascinating. Look at that final column, average cost. Watch how it plummets from $260 for the first unit all the way down to $110 by the 4th unit. Why? Because that initial $200 fixed cost is being spread out over more and more items. Moving right along to section 2, visualizing your business costs. Let's actually build that cost picture. This perfectly illustrates how your fixed costs sit as a completely flat horizontal line. In this specific example, it's locked right at $4,000. It's unchanging, completely rigid, even if you produce absolutely nothing today. You can think of that line as the baseline pressure every entrepreneur feels the very second they sign a lease. Now, what's really interesting is how your total variable costs behave. Notice how this line shoots up diagonally, starting straight from 0 in the corner. Makes sense, right? If your output is 0, your variable cost is 0. But the more products you create, meaning the further right you move along that bottom axis, the higher those variable costs climb. And when you stack them together, you get the ultimate picture. Notice where the top line, the total cost line, actually begins. It doesn't start at 0. It starts exactly at your fixed cost baseline. The upward slope is completely identical to your variable costs. It's just shifted higher by the exact amount of your fixed costs. It paints the entire visual picture of your financial outgoing. Okay, let's get into the fun stuff. Section 3, generating business revenue. Making sales and tracking that cash. Before we run the numbers, let's nail down what total revenue and average revenue actually mean in technical economic terms. Total revenue is simply the total value of all the sales you generate. It's a super easy formula. Your selling price multiplied by the quantity you sold. Average revenue, on the other hand, is your overall revenue per unit. Honestly, in economics, average revenue is really just a fancy technical term for price. If we look closely at this revenue calculation, we've got price, quantity, total revenue, and average revenue. As you drop down the rows, say sell 4 units at $5 each, your total revenue is $20. But you'll notice a fascinating fact here. The average revenue column is absolutely identical to the price column. No matter what quantity you sell, if you divide that total revenue back by the quantity, you are always going to end up exactly back at your selling price. Every single time. All right, section 4, profit, loss, and break even. This is literally the ultimate test of survival. Here is the ultimate straightforward formula for your success. Profit simply equals your total revenue minus your total costs. Plain and simple. If the money coming in is greater than the money going out, you've achieved profit. If the total costs are higher, well, unfortunately, you're looking at a loss. But Before you can celebrate a profit, you have to hit break even. This is that absolutely crucial milestone where your total revenue perfectly covers all your total costs. TR equals TC. At this exact point, you aren't taking a loss anymore, which is great, but you haven't generated any profit yet either. You are simply keeping your head above water.
Let's actually test this with a real-world scenario to see if you can identify the metrics. Imagine you're running a shoe business. You sell 50 pairs of shoes. Your variable costs are $5 per pair, your fixed costs are $100, and customers pay a price of $100 per pair. So, which of these four options equals exactly $5,000? Is it A, average revenue, B, total costs, C, profit, or D, total revenue? Take a second and think about the formulas we just went over.
Okay, breaking down the logic step by step, we see the answer is D, total revenue. Remember, total revenue is price multiplied by quantity. So you take the $100 price, multiply it by the 50 pairs sold, and boom, that gives us exactly $5,000. As for the others, well, average revenue would just be the $100 price. Total costs would be your $100 fixed cost plus your $250 variable cost, giving you $350. And your profit would be that $5,000 in revenue minus the $350 in costs, leaving you with $4,650, which conclusively proves that $5,000 is in fact your total revenue.
Finally, Section 5, the reality of scaling. Let's talk about what happens when you actually start to grow. As you initially grow, you gain what we call economies of scale. These are massive efficiencies generated as a firm grows its scale of output, which actively lowers your average total costs of production. Think about buying raw materials in bulk to get a huge discount. That's a purchasing economy of scale. Basically, you're getting bigger, and producing each unit is actually getting cheaper. Sounds amazing, right? But this brings us to the U-shaped curve that literally keeps CEOs awake at night. Notice the left side of this curve. As output increases, average costs fall thanks to those economies of scale. You eventually hit the bottom, the absolute lowest average total cost, where productive efficiency is fully maxed out. But look at the right side. If you grow too fast or get too big, diseconomies of scale kick in. Red tape piles up, communication breaks down, management becomes bloated, and your average costs painfully begin to rise all over again. So knowing this U-shaped reality, we really have to end with a provocative thought. If average costs eventually rise again due to diseconomies of scale, can a single business actually pursue infinite growth without eventually being crushed by infinite costs? It fundamentally challenges the whole idea that bigger is always better. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Take these concepts, look at the businesses around you, and see if you can spot exactly where they are on their... Thanks for watching Commerce with Elaine. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons in business, accounting, and economics. Keep learning smart and score that a star. I'll see you in the next video.